southern mountain becomes naked, cutting down the trees and its smoke veils sun. Burning blue porcelain glasses and picking one within my heat. How many times buried in the thick smoke to shine this beautiful clear blue jade, like pure water in lucidity and brightness, and like a rock in solidity. I now realize the skills making the glass got the creation of God. This thin flower dot looks like an earnestly drawn picture, so marvelous. Koryo Celadon represents the excellence and uniqueness of Korean culture, and the pottery kilns where the Koryo Celadon was baked were mainly distributed in the areas of western and southern shores. Among those places, Gangjin area of Jeollanam-do is the main spot for being the important place to make Celadon and potteries. And the potteries made from here represents Goryeo Dynasty's Celadon of Korean history. There are three circumstantial importances made to the most superior Celadon only at Gangjin. Firstly, abundant natural resources were given, including raw materials, to make Celadon, and there were independent comprehension of the advanced civilization of people through the trading business with China from early times. But the most of all, Gangjin people's creative life force is the root of making gorgeous Celadon in this area. The pottery kilns during Goryeo Dynasty were found in many different places in the areas of Taegumyeon, Gangjin-gun, where was the most beautiful Celadon were made for the 500 years from the 9th century in the last period of United Shilla Dynasty to the end of 14th century of Koryo Dynasty. In 11th century, Koryo Celadon had completed the high-quality moldings, which had reflected aesthetic senses in laconism of Koryo Dynasty's civil ministers and nobles. Furthermore, applying new decorating techniques by developing glaze much clearer and brighter, which was called inlaid Celadon, had bloomed the flower of molding once again in the middle of the 12th century. The color of Chinese Celadon is dark yellowish green, and its glaze is opaque, and those were expressed in sharp shape and solemn senses. Compared to the mentioned, Koryo Celadon has clear and vivid jade green color, refined flowing of lines, springy and lively patterns, and the shapes of pottery becomes united, pictorial and poetic beauty, which distinguishes from Chinese Celadon. Besides, originating the chromophoric technique to produce red color using oxidized copper as a pigment for the first time in the world, and this was used only for the emphasis on the gray-blue background and temper its luxurious red color as much as little as possible to express moderating beauty. This is also a difference with Chinese Celadon and another example to verify Koryo Celadon's molding superiority. The first step of making Celadon is to mine the second clay of one of the porcelain clays and select them carefully, to process them, and then to make the right shape through wiping with wet clothes. And to decorate by carving onto the surface or to use degenerating techniques to color the clay black and white, which differentiate from the interior clay. After the first step, giving enough time to dry slowly and baking them roughly at the temperature of 700 to 800 degrees Celsius was followed. And the real baking was conducted after applying glaze on the rough bake, and this completes all the procedure. There are various types of Celadon. A small pattern Celadon without any decoration is applied. An inlaid Celadon, which was baked twice with glaze after a rough bake, in filling white and black clay in the carved patterns. A Ferrous clay, which was brush painted with black clay onto the surface and baked with glaze. A degenerated Celadon, which was painted white or black clay in embossed patterns of dots or designs. A coppered Celadon, that the oxidized copper used as pigment and restored in the red color. A golden Celadon, which was decorated with gold among the inlaid pattern. And an iron Celadon, which was colored in black, that the black clay were watery painted onto the whole surface, and then Celadon oil was applied. Since the beginning of the 12th century, the patterns of Celadon had developed to the expression of poetry designs out of simple decorations, and especially the shapes of a red-crowned crane flying over greenish Celadon background, and a cloud looks like an autumn sky purifies human mind emotionally and represents the fundamental function of the art. Furthermore, the characteristic materials suits well to the broad green background with picturesque depth, such as weeping willows, wild chrysanthemums, reeds, mandarin ducks, and wild geese. And those subjects had reflected highly sophisticated aesthetic sense of Koryo civilians, those who pursued natural and elegant beauty. The true value of cultural inheritance is not until we properly understand the spiritual senses of our ancestors and succeed to the failure. Our ancestors' creative artistic spirit completed our unique world of beauty, will last its brilliance forever in remaining in the green color of our Celadon.